welcome to Philm Puckery, the unhinged podcast where I romanticize the villains, ship anything with queer tension, and obsess over films that are either genius or deeply cursed, sometimes both. I'm your host, Spencer Jones, and this season we're diving headfirst into the chaotic comfort that is the MCU. As usual, we're going to be talking about villain effectiveness, gay undertones, logicals, inconsistencies, best use of CGI, and the most chaotic moment in the film. Today, we are looking at The Incredible Hulk. I was debating if I even wanted to do this one. I've always considered it as not a part of the MCU, just because I remember it being so bad. They recast Mark Ruffalo, so I was kind of like, okay, who cares? It's played by Ed Norton in this movie. It just never seemed important to me to watch. I watched it maybe once. Watching She-Hulk and then now Brave New World, The Incredible Hulk is pretty important to those things, and I wish that they would have just left that movie alone, but they didn't, so here I am watching it. I kind of watched it just to party hate low-key, but it was better than I remember it being. It was entertainment, which really is what it's here for. Okay, let's talk about the villain. Obviously, Agent Ross is one of the villains, and then by extension, also Blonsky. I know his name from She-Hulk, and this entire movie I was trying to remember what his first name was, and all I could think of was Nikki Blonsky. Obviously, that's wrong. She was in Hairspray, and probably other stuff. I don't know. I only know her from Hairspray. I just picture Blonsky breaking out. You can't stop the motion of the ocean. He would sing that to Ross, though, I think. Low-key, that's his character. You can't stop me. I'm here to fight. Anyway, like I said last episode, the early Marvel villains are so boring because Agent Ross, he's going after Bruce Banner because he's a fugitive, and I say that in quotation marks. I understand from a military standpoint maybe that Bruce is stealing military secrets because that's part of his DNA. He's only a fugitive because Agent Ross wants to use him to create a weapon. He didn't actually steal anything, and that's why he has to go back to get the hard drive because he doesn't have any of the information. And really what it was Elizabeth, or I guess Betty. I don't know why they call her Betty. I understand that's the nickname, but I hate it. So I guess Betty stole the secrets, and maybe Ross thinks it's Bruce Banner. It's just it's so boring. You want to use his blood to make people into weapons. Okay. And then he's using up all of these resources and he's putting everybody in danger for this guy. All he wants to do is cure himself. It's so dumb the way that every time that they shoot at the Hulk, obviously the bullets don't work. The tranquilizers, they're not doing shit. And so when they're firing at him and they keep going, you're using all of these resources, you're wasting all of these weapons, you're putting all these men at potential harm. Why provoke him when you don't have any weapons that will actually put him down? He's just a guy. And then you shoot him, that provokes him to turn into the Hulk. Don't do that. I just feel like they're coming at it with a lot of force. I feel like if Agent Ross was smart, he would have tried to reason with him and he wouldn't have come at it so aggressively. Because without that aggression, Bruce Banner is willing to sit down and talk, but Ross is like, no, I need you to do all of this stuff. And then Bruce Banner, he's a scientist. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. I just think Ross is really stupid. Anyway, Blonsky, him as a character, I like him. I do really like him in She-Hulk. I think he gets really funny. In this movie, though, I think the guy who plays him is a really good actor. And I really liked him in Mr. Right. But that's besides the point. I don't know. I just really like that movie. Anyway, when he takes the super soldier serum, he says that he's going to fight for as long as he can because Ross is like, why don't you become a colonel by now? You have enough under your belt that you can move up in the ranks. And he's like, no, sir, I'm a fighter. As long as I can fight, I'm going to fight. And that need grows in him because the super soldier serum, what it does is it enhances every part of you. And that's why Steve Rogers was picked for it, because he was a good person. And so that just amplifies as well. That's why they tested him not for strength, but for character. And so Blonsky's character, he's already like, I just want a good fight. I'm going to fight until I'm dead. That increases as well. And that's why he becomes like, I just want a good fight with the Hulk in the streets and I don't care about anything else and I'm going to go against the military, whatever. Stupid. So when he first takes the super soldier serum and the other military guy is like, how are you feeling? And he goes, like a monster. I see from the watcher's standpoint, that's maybe a cool line. We see him slowly turning into a monster. I think that if I was on a team with somebody and I'm like, oh, I see that you're taking the equivalent in our world. Maybe he's taking steroids or something. I'm like, oh, how are the steroids making you feel? And I expect him to say stronger or a better fighter. If someone says a monster, I'm scared. That's not a cool thing to say. That's not normal either. I feel like if I was that guy, I'd be like, can I get off this plane? I don't want to be here anymore. I'm scared. Anyway, so Blonsky, he just wants an epic fight, is what it looks like. Destroying cars in the street. Who's paying for my car? And then there's also a scene when they're on the bridge, they're driving the truck, Betty and Bruce. There's a blockage because the police are going through cars. They just leave the truck. Do you think they went back for it? Where does that truck go? And then there's one part at the end where the Abomination and Hulk, they're fighting in the streets. It feels like he's jealous of the Hulk because a nerdy scientist gets to have all of that power instead of a fighter like him, I guess. Why do I care? It's just so stupid the way that he abandons everything just to kick ass. Because he seemed so into his ranks and he seemed so into the military and everything they were fighting for. And he was so into following orders. And then he took the serum and suddenly he's doing whatever the fuck he wants, which I guess is the enhancement of his greed or need for power, whatever. I guess it's interesting to see how the serum works on other people. And I don't understand why before he took the Hulk blood or whatever, why he had that spine thing happening. That's not super soldier serum. Anyway, back to Ross. So Bruce is a fugitive and Ross is going through all of these lengths to get him back. He could just not. I just feel like if he had put his efforts toward anything else, he could have built back to the spot that he was at when they were testing on Bruce. He's chasing this man to the corners of the world for what? The second that Blonsky turns into the Abomination, Ross folds so quickly. He's like, okay, yes, we'll let the Hulk go. And then the Hulk gets away. Speaking of Ross and Blonsky, we're going to move into gay undertones because their love for each other is so deep. There's a scene where they're talking about the super soldier serum and Ross looks at Blonsky and he says, we're trying to make you better. And he looks him up and down. Just kiss already. The tension between those two is actually insane. Ross loves Blonsky so much. And there's another part where Blonsky is getting the serum. He's got his shirt off. Ross is leaning against the wall. He's looking at him all sensually. It doesn't feel necessary that Ross be in the room looking at him like that with his shirt off. I understand why he needs to have his shirt off for the surgeries, but I don't think Ross needs to be there staring at him. I just think he's there to support his boyfriend and get a good look with his shirt off. And I feel like Blonsky, he kind of reciprocates it, but not in the way that Ross is so infatuated with this man. When he is in the hospital and all his bones are broken, Ross is upset. Yes, he's upset because he's lost his super soldier, but I also think he's upset because he's lost his boyfriend. The face that he makes, he's so elated when he comes back and Blonsky's fully healed. He's so happy to have his boyfriend back. He's like, oh, thank God you didn't die, babe. I love you so much. This is so unnecessary if you're not a little bit gay for your boyfriend. He walks over and he's touching his scars all nicely. Every romance movie, there's always that one character that gets in fights, or maybe the stronger character, the way that they'll touch their scars lovingly and be like, oh no, what happened? It's okay, you're so strong. That's what just happened in that scene. When Blonsky comes back and he's all better, he does still have all of the scars from the surgeries they did on him, I guess. And Ross just strokes them so sensually. He loves this man. He's like, oh, you're so strong for me, my super soldier. Outside of Ross and Blonsky, Ross, he wants Bruce bad. I just feel like that's a little bit gay too. I don't understand this tunnel vision he has. He could put any of that energy into making a new super soldier serum, and instead he's chasing this man. And then that scene where they're fighting on, I think it's the college campus, and Ross, he's got all of this military. Betty's there with him. She runs up to Bruce to be like, calm down, it's okay. They're shooting at him with this helicopter, and then he takes the helicopter down and there's flames everywhere, and Ross is like, oh fuck, I just killed my daughter. Obviously, she didn't die, but that's what you get. Anyway, this isn't gay. I am going to talk about it because it's the love interest, but I hate it. Betty and Bruce, they're too straight. It's disgusting. At the beginning, he's so stalkery. He's got this newspaper clipping that he's got off to the side and he's like, this is who I'm working to get better for. This is what keeps me going. Do you think he jorks it to that, by the way? Anyway, when he goes back to get the information for Stern, he's stalking her on the campus and he sees her with this guy from behind a tree with a hat on, being all weird and creepy. And then he's staying at that guy's pizza place and Betty's there and he sees her from behind a door and she gets a glimpse of him. Thank God she liked him back, because otherwise if she saw that and she was like, what the fuck, Bruce Banner? That's creepy. So he's hiding behind that door and then he's gone. She goes out to see if it's him and he hides behind a dumpster because he just can't face her, I guess. I don't understand that, because literally the next scene, they're in the rain and he's walking down the road and she's driving behind him. And it must have been right after that hiding behind the dumpster scene, because why would she know where he's walking? It's now raining. She's in a car behind him. He's in the shadows. He could have kept walking, but he stopped. He turns around and he runs towards her. Motherfucker, I know he's waiting for a romantic moment. He's like, "Ah, perfect, it's raining. Now I can run up to her. I don't have to hide behind a dumpster." I'm just really not enjoying anything about their relationship the entire time I'm watching this. Every time they're in a scene together, it's so awkward that it hurts. I hate watching it. It makes me so uncomfortable because he's so creepy obsessed with her. Usually I love an obsession thing, but they're too straight for me to feel comfortable with that. It might just be me, but like, ugh, they need to chill the fuck out. When they're in the motel and they're about to have sex and his watch is beeping like crazy, she got him the watch. She knows what that means. And he's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. She's like, no, it's okay. I want it. She wants the Hulk dick. That's what she wants. I need you to cool it, Betty. It's too much for me. It's disgusting. Anyway, logic holes. There's too many inconsistencies in this movie that don't translate to the rest of the MCU at all. The most obvious one, Ed Norton playing the Hulk. I'm kind of thinking about it. Do you guys remember when they were doing press tours for Infinity War and Mark Ruffalo spoiled Infinity War and he was like, just you wait for the next one, everyone dies, and everyone's like, shut up. I think if Ed Norton was playing him, we probably wouldn't have gotten that spoiler, so think on that for a bit. I do think it's interesting, Agent Ross and the Abomination do stay the same, and apparently the reason why Ed Norton didn't stay with the MCU is because he wanted Hulk to be more emotionally driven and Marvel wanted him to be more action driven, and that actually makes sense. There's so many differences in this movie with the rest of the MCU because I do feel like the Hulk is emotional in this movie, and he's kind of more intelligent than any of the other Hulks when in Hulk form. The dumbest thing ever, and this isn't a plot hole or anything, it's at the beginning of the movie. He's in his little factory machine thing working and he drops that blood. And he's like, stop the machine. And he runs down to where it is. And there's so many clear glass bottles and I guess the brown or black or whatever machine underneath the clear bottles. And there's this vibrant streak of red on one of the cups. He didn't see that. He's so worried about his blood getting anywhere. He's not noticing this. I do appreciate that it happened, I guess, because the Stan Lee cameo that we get in this movie, I think, is one of the best Stan Lee cameos. And I didn't know about it, but I really loved that scene. I'm glad they put it in there. Speaking of the cups, why is every drink in this movie, every liquid, not even just the drinks, all the liquids are green? It's just too much. He has this dog and he is in this little, I don't know, apartment thing. It kind of resembles the place where Natasha picks up Bruce in Avengers, but I don't remember there being a dog and I might be wrong. I was like, oh, he has a dog in this movie and he kind of seems to love the dog. And then, holy shit, they shot the dog. I gasped. And I know it was a tranquilizer, but then he's on the run. He doesn't take the dog with him. What is that dog supposed to do? I hope someone took that dog in. I'm really worried about this dog. Another huge inconsistency is the Hulk CGI changes all of the earlier films. This one, Avengers, every other time that we see the Hulk until it kind of gets more consistent with Infinity War, Endgame, and so on. Also, this is just a thing that's always bothered me about the Hulk, and not specifically in this movie, but kind of in this movie. Later on in She-Hulk, when Hulk is training her and he's like, here are some tips that I've learned over the years, like spandex is your best friend. That makes sense. It took him a long time to figure that out. And I know it can't be rated R, there can't be nudity, but nobody's pants stretch like that. That just doesn't happen. He wears jeans. Jeans don't stretch that much. They rip immediately. There is one scene after the cave. He's got these black ripped jeans and they're super distressed. I kind of like those jeans. Should I Hulk out real quick? I did enjoy the little cameo of when they're at the motel and Betty's getting him all of the supplies and everything. She's got him that watch. I do appreciate that she's like, purple pants, they stretch. And he's like, no. Here's what else. He's so stalker in love with Betty. The inconsistency with that is that we never hear about her ever again. And then they try to force feed us Natasha and Bruce. I'm trying to think of a cute couple name for them, but it's just not cute, so it's not going to be a cute couple name. All I can think of is Natner, Natasha Banner, Noose. Noose. I like that. Okay, so Noose, they try to force feed that shit to us. Not once discussing Betty. Whatever, I didn't like them anyway. But I hate how many times they try to force feed us Natasha plus someone else. It's just so stupid. And he's so into it for that split second that they try to do that. No mention of Betty. This part was really small. And I don't know if anyone remembers this. Who watches this movie actually? But anyway, that scene where he's back in the lab where it all started and he's trying to get that flash drive full of the information. He's giving out these free pizzas. That security guard was so nice. I hope he doesn't get in trouble for letting him in because he just seems so sweet. I would have taken that pizza too. And the only other guy in the lab is the teacher in Spider-Man. And I don't know if that's supposed to be the same character or if he got a better role in the MCU because that happens. I like to think that it's the same character. And I wonder what happened in his life that made him go from a scientist to a teacher. I just feel like something went wrong there. Not that there's anything bad with being a teacher. I know a lot of teachers, and I think they do fan-fucking-tastic work, but to go from a scientist, which I imagine pays a lot more, to a teacher of high school students. One inconsistency that was really super bothering me this whole time is how much more in touch the Hulk feels in this movie than all of the next upcoming movies with Mark Ruffalo. When in the Hulk form, he is very aware of Betty. He talks towards the end. He's able to fight against the Abomination. It feels like after this movie, he regresses so much. So in Avengers, I think what happens is he hasn't transformed in a really long time. But then at the end, it's like days without incidents, 0. His eyes glow green. That was stupid, first of all. It just seems like that moment right there was him trying to control the Hulk and practice letting the Hulk come out and letting him be more in touch with his emotions and letting him be more aware of everything and maybe trying to blend them together like he does later. So that idea does not translate at all to the Avengers or to any of the next movies that we see the Hulk in. And that really bothered me. Even emotionally, it feels like the Hulk has more emotions in this movie and is more aware than in the Avengers. We see the Hulk as this stupider, dumber being when Bruce Banner's this scientist. I don't know if I like it more or less. The inconsistency of it does bother me, but I do think it would have been interesting if Ed Norton had stayed on and if they had listened to him, where that would have taken us instead. When he's finished fighting the Abomination, he steps on him, cracks his ribs, and he's like alpha male screaming to the sky. During that scene, I see he's bleeding, but I thought that nothing could pierce his skin. So I'm confused by that. I think that inconsistency was odd as well, because can things cut him? I just don't understand how bullets don't work, but things can cut him. And then no end credit scene, kill yourself. Iron Man had an end credit scene. That's why I don't count this movie. Fuck that. There's no end credit scene. This wasn't a real Marvel movie. Best use of CGI? This was not. This was not a good use of CGI. I understand they had to, but ugh, it's bad. So the first time he transforms, I think it's for the audience, but low-key I feel like it's because they didn't want to come at us with this goofy looking CGI Hulk initially like that. It's a really dark scene and he's hiding in the shadows. And I think that is supposed to be spooky, and it's supposed to be like, who are they fighting against? We've never seen the Hulk before. When we see him Hulk out in the light for the first time, I don't like it. His proportions are so weird. They're so off from the later on Hulks. It's goofy and it's fucked. CGI wise, it looked fine. It didn't move weird. It flowed well. I just don't like the design that they picked. It didn't even look like Ed Norton. Later on, the CGI of the Hulk looks more like Mark Ruffalo, but this one, it felt like they were kind of trying to go too much into comic book Hulk and didn't try to make it look like Ed Norton at all, which I feel was a really bad idea, because why wouldn't it have his same facial structure? And then the part where he's in the cave with Betty and he's protecting her and it's raining and everything, it gets worse somehow because he's wet and he's glistening. It looks so bad. I actually hate it. Every scene that I saw the Hulk in, I was like, ugh, here's another thing I don't like. His muscles, why are they ribbed? It looks like a Ruffles chip. It's so icky and he's so veiny. Nasty. I don't like it. I'm wondering what it feels like to need to Hulk out. I feel like it's like an itch or he needs to stretch. And I wonder how good it feels for the Hulk to be like, finally, I can take up all of this space, or what it feels like for Bruce. You've got your heart rate up, your adrenaline's going. And I wonder if it's relaxing, like a breath. And then the way that he transforms in Stern's lab when he's strapped down, they're trying to induce the Hulk so they can inject the cure. The way that he transforms in that, actually disgusting. Thank God they don't make transformations look that horrific. I feel like it was meant to be a horror low-key. And then Betty, get the fuck off him. Chill out, girl. We get it, but it's so uncomfortable. Why is she on top of him? And she's like, look at me, Bruce, look at me in my eyes. Stop. Cool it. And then when the Hulk turns back into Bruce and she's still on top of him and they're like gazing into each other's eyes, this is not what we're doing right now. This is like a science experiment. Pack it up, put it away, chill out. The Hulk is too pretty boy in this, I think. His hair is too flowy and his eyes are too beautiful. It just is, it's too chiseled. And that's why it reminds me of book accurate Frankenstein. I used to see a lot of TikToks that are like, Frankenstein was supposed to be really upsettingly beautiful. And I think what it was is dark long hair and he had like yellow skin. If you take the Hulk's features and you put them onto a yellow lanky boy, that's book accurate Frankenstein. The Abomination though is worse. That was disgusting and terrifying to look at. I was not comfortable with any of that. Back to the pants though real quick. The Abomination did not have pants. That's how it works. When you grow like 3 sizes, your pants fucking fall off. They rip. the same way that a shirt does, especially military pants. Holy shit, those don't stretch. So he's not wearing pants. He doesn't have a penis either. And I am ashamed to say I did look. Where did it go? Anyway, he looks like a combination of Godzilla, the fish guy from Monsters vs. Aliens, the missing link, and my sleep paralysis demon. Imagine seeing that in the street. Why is he so bald? It's just like an egg and then the body of Godzilla. He looks slimy. Whoever did that, I don't like you right now. Other than when the Hulk is alpha male screaming on top of the abomination, the most chaotic scene, it's the transformation scene in the lab. Stern is so fucking excited. He's like, oh my god, a beautiful specimen. This is what I do science for. I love this so much. And he's freaking out. And he's got all of this equipment that lays a little bit fucked up because he works at a school, and he's banging on it. The Hulk throws him. He's trying to get this machine to work, and he jumps and kicks it. He donkey kicks this machine, and he's on the floor, and it's just so chaotic and it's so crazy. And I think it's really funny. The way he transforms is really horrific. So there's a combination of funny, horrific. It's disgusting because Betty's on top of him. There's so much happening. Betty's screaming at Stern, do it now. And he's so in awe of the way that the Hulk is. That's the most chaotic scene for sure. So I still don't know how to end a podcast, but I think since last time I ended it with a quote, I'll end it with a quote this time too. I don't know why I write down random quotes, but sometimes they speak to me. So I've written down, this one was really funny. I really liked this. When they're fighting with the Hulk for the first time, right after that, Blonsky's like, what the fuck was that? Agent Ross is like, that's the target. And Blonsky's like, tell me things about Bruce Banner so I can track him down, so I can discover what that thing that we just fought is. And he's like, that is Bruce Banner. Blonsky goes, you have to explain that statement, sir. And Ross goes, no, I don't. And then he just keeps talking. I really liked that. I thought that was really funny. That's the end. I hope you enjoyed. And if you want to follow me on TikTok or on Instagram at PHILMPHUCKERY. If you are watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify, just know that this podcast exists on both. Philm Puckery with a PH for both. Like it, comment it, download it. Anything helps. Thank you for listening and or watching, and I will see you all next week.